Hi everyone, I'm Hayden, and today I'll be reviewing Transformers Legacy Motormaster and Menasor. This is the last episode of my Stunticon reviews, so if you haven't watched the rest of them, you probably should. The link will be in the description. I find it kind of weird that they released Motormaster when only 2 of the other Stunticons were out. Like with the new Core Class Dinobots, they're releasing them in the order it says on the box, but Motormaster is 5 out of 5, and he released 3rd. It's weird. What's not weird is this truck mode. It actually looks pretty cool. It's the same truck as Optimus Prime, making Motormaster seem like an evil Optimus, but not like Nemesis Prime, more just if Optimus was mean instead of a father figure for children of the 80s. The truck mode isn't perfect though. There isn't really a back to it, and Motormaster's chest and crotch are kind of just out in the open there. But other than that, it's pretty clean. But if you don't want to see the exposed robot bits, you can always attach the trailer. It plugs in right on the back, and that looks really cool. But the trailer itself even has some pretty serious robot kibble. The front of it is just Menasor's chest and thighs, and the wheels aren't really the best either. If you can manage to get the stand out and stand it up, they tend to just flop around, and that happens too, but the wheels tend to go outward really easily. But unlike the usual Optimus Prime trailer, there's nothing you can really do other than just be a trailer. There's no inside, there's no interior that you can put stuff in or like have the other Stunticons hang out in, but it does act as weapon storage. If you take the front end off, you can see that the sword is stored on this little flap, and if you split this in half and separate these 2 pieces, there is a big old gun that hides in there. The transformation isn't very satisfying. It's pretty much just a bunch of panels that disconnect and attach sloppily to the legs. And Motormaster's robot mode is just kind of ugly. To give it some credit, this is very accurate to the cartoon model, but even the cartoon model was just kind of ugly. One thing I particularly don't like is the weird box head with like the Megatron helmet underneath, and the fact that his eyes are like painted so dark just makes him look like dead. Motormaster comes with 2 accessories, a big sword and a big gun. You can obviously hold the sword, and that looks pretty cool. And he can also hold the gun, but the gun is a bit oversized, I think, and it weighs down the arm, which is great. His articulation is pretty good. He actually has a wrist swivel for once, but his feet are just weird, and they don't really stand up very well. And the joints in his legs are ratcheted, and so are his knees. There's 2 knee joints, which one is for the transformation and one isn't, but sometimes it likes to do both and then makes the knees bend wrong. So now that you have Motormaster in his robot mode and his trailer and a bunch of bits, what are you supposed to do now? Well, you can obviously turn the trailer into a useless and stupid looking base mode that really just looks really dumb. Now this mode is the definition of how do we justify the Commander price point. It isn't really a real mode. It's just bits of Menasor laid out on a surface with Motormaster hanging out on the top. There's nowhere for the sword to go, there's nowhere for the other Stunticons to hang out. It's just a battle tower made of a guy lying down. Now this is probably the main reason why people buy this figure. This is Menasor. And this is how he comes out of the box. A weird, skinny, skeleton-looking guy. Especially his legs with just hollow holes there. And he just lacks, like, definition and doesn't really look that great. He is big though. So most of Menasor is made of the trailer, but the piece that remains, you can attach the gun to it and it turns into a little turret emplacement for him. You can obviously also hold the sword, which just looks really small in his hands compared to how it looked in Motormaster's hands. One thing I wasn't really expecting was for him to be so posable. He has a lot of joints and pretty much all of them are ratcheted. He's a very loud toy. Now, if you really want to get your money's worth out of Menasor, you need the rest of the Stunticons. Dragstrip and Dead End become his arms, and Wild Rider and Breakdown become the back of his legs. Now, with all of them attached, this is really how Menasor should look. The other Stunticons really bulk up his arms, and the ones on the legs activate these spring-loaded panels that fill in the gaps in his legs. Unlike the original toy, you cannot mix and match the different Stunticons to different limbs. Dragstrip and Dead End can only be these arms, but Wild Rider and Breakdown can swap, but it doesn't really make a difference. I've seen a lot of people saying that this is not a real combiner because the arms and the legs aren't actually made of the other vehicles, but I think he looks really good. He's big and weighty, his joints are solid, and I just think he looks really cool. Overall, the Stunticon team is really cool. Individually, they're all alright, but when they come together, they're great. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this series. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and also comment what you think I should review next.